This week on Full Circle Florida, the presidential race and the plot twist ahead of the Republican National Convention. Will Biden drop out? Is New York now a battleground state? Is the Democratic Party in full meltdown mode? Our panel is here to sort through it all and shining the light on the dark underworld of human trafficking. I speak with an ex-CIA agent now on a personal mission to give parents the power to protect their children. But first, there is so much to talk about this week, so let's get right to our panel. He is the host of the Ryan Gorman Show on News Radio, WFLA and I-Heart Radio. Ryan Gorman is here, and our political analyst who is Milwaukee-bound, headed to the Republican National Convention, Dr. Susan MacManus. Okay, and we thought it was going to be a boring summer. All eyes on Biden this week. A flood of Democrats calling on him to step down, to step aside. He's made it clear he's running. James Carville, the economy stupid guy, said that Biden will lose. He pitched the idea of having a mini primary. Is that realistic with this shrinking timeline that we've had? Their convention is next month. You've only got 113 days till the election. It's like the Democrats have jumped out of a plane without a parachute or a plan, and no one even had to shove them out. I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, neither has anyone else. That's what's very intriguing about all of it. And the bottom line is that it's not too late, but the other thing that's happening that we forget about, they had actually scheduled to nominate the president before the convention.
Right.
And that's interesting because if they do that, he could step aside and they could nominate someone else at the convention. But the decision about when to have the virtual vote, online vote of the delegates is between July 21st and August 6th.
Just enough time. Ryan, is he leaving any slight room for any other possibility at this point?
Oh, I think so. I personally, look, I could be wrong. Politics is pretty unpredictable these days. I think it's more a matter of when, not if. I think the pressure is going to mount. It's going to be too much. It's going to be embarrassing for him and his family. And I don't think there's too short of a time period here for the Democrats to make a move. And just think about what that would do. You have more double haters right now who dislike both candidates than we've ever seen before. And having a fresh influx of younger politicians at the top of the ticket, a new ticket, I think that would create a lot of energy.
You got a lot of voters looking for a home right now.
I say one more thing.
Yeah.
A lot of this, if you look at who in Congress is bailing, these are all people that are from very competitive districts.
Right.
Their internal polls are showing that he's bringing them down.
Maybe if they were better candidates, they wouldn't be saying this. I mean, maybe if they were doing a better job on their end, that's what he was arguing last night, President Biden, that, okay, maybe if you weren't in such a bad position, you wouldn't be blaming me.
He's dragging the ticket down, and you see that in the polling where you've got Senate candidates running 5, 6, 7 points ahead of where Biden's at in some of these key swing states.
Does this affect Trump's VP announcement, and how crucial is that at this point? Is it not as important? Could it backfire on him, or does it matter?
I think it really matters if, for example, they are convinced that Kamala Harris could be at the top of the ticket. It absolutely affects a VP choice.
Do you think he's waiting to see what happens with Biden?
I think he'd like to do that. I don't think the timing is going to work out like that. But I still think with Trump, it's less important than it was for Democrats having either Kamala Harris or whoever they pick as a vice president if there's a new person at the top of the ticket. With Trump, he just dominates everything so much. It really is mostly about him.
But he desperately needs the women vote, and a lot of that is moderate. And of course, the number one issue being pushed by the Democrats is reproductive rights.
New York, it came out, could be a battleground state. Biden's losing support there. Is the field of battlegrounds expanding beyond the Big Seven?
Absolutely. And the New York situation is exactly what we were talking about. It's a district that's very competitive. And this is what's causing a lot of angst among leaders, Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate. They can see the possibility of Trump running the table, Republicans running the table, the presidency, the House, and the Senate, because it doesn't just have to be in swing states. You can have swing districts in a lot of other states, and that's what is being watched right now.
New York hasn't gone red, by the way, since 1984, Ronald.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if something like New York switched, but you're still talking about a potential landslide, and this is what the Trump team thinks.
Right.
You know, where Virginia and some of these other states that weren't in play come into play, along with a sweep of the 7 key swing states.
What is this election really about? I would argue that I would question whether it's just about the economy. You see the TSA breaking record numbers of passengers, 3 million people. Yes, there's inflation, but you had higher inflation during the 80s, during the Reagan administration. So what is this election really about for voters? Is it about culture? Is it about the economy? Is it about just two guys who want power?
Well, you always know that's the case. But the bottom line is that it is still a lot about the economy. If you look at the losses that Biden has incurred to groups, he's lost some of the younger vote, lost some of the minority vote, a lot of that younger, lost some of the other kinds of votes, Hispanic and black. That is all about the economy. But here's my point. For 2 years at least, every poll that asks, are you satisfied with the direction of the country? Consistently, 60% plus say, yes, they are. So a lot of this is about the direction of the country, how they feel, and what is driving a lot of people's angst, the economy.
I said this, I think, a couple of weeks ago on this show.
Yeah.
I think this is certainly the economy is the top issue, but I think for a lot of voters, it's an optics election. It's a vibes election. The vibes that both of these candidates, who most Americans don't really like, the vibes they're putting out there.
And right now, the optics not so good for Joe Biden
No.
with the way things are going. All right, guys, thank you. Hang with me. We'll have more to come next on Full Circle Florida. Will the Biden dam break? Why new polling suggests his numbers have not moved much post-debate. Rick Klein joins me here next.